when I start working with people, we really dig into the brand and we want to build a reputation for you. We want you to become the expert, the authority that people see, they hear, and they remember. So when they need your services, they're coming to you because they go, you know what? I really think that I need to, be more collaborative and I need to figure this out. I need to go talk to Chuck. So then once we have that, once we have the brand strategy, then we can dress it up with the branding so that you can communicate properly to your audience. And then they start to recognize you. It brings meaning to your brand when we do the right branding. But if you don't know what your brand is, if you're doing it all wrong, or if you're skipping that step, it's a waste of time.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Creative Collaboration Show. Chuck Anderson with you, and I have another amazing episode here for you today. And, this show is all about collaborations, partnerships, and ways to grow your business easier, faster, better than maybe you're doing right now. And so, we have a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, book authors, speakers. We have it all in this audience. And I'll tell you, there's going to be something here for all of you here today. And the reality is when you're trying to spread a message, get the word about something, or even sell something, which you wouldn't be in business if you're not selling anything. Branding and strategy really does come into this. And there's all sorts of questions that people have had along the way. And so I'm really pleased to be able to invite Kim Speed to be with us here today, who is an expert in all of these things. And Kim, I'm not going to tell your story. I'm going to have you tell your story. That's my introduction light. But Kim, first of all, welcome to the program. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Chuck, for having me. I am so excited to have this opportunity with you.
Awesome. So I think a great place to start, Kim, is introduce yourself. Who are you, and what's your story? How does one become a brand and small business strategist? And there must have been an origin story somewhere to the point where now you're an expert in and working with small businesses on their branding. So take it away.
Well, thank you for asking, Chuck. There definitely is, because I am an entrepreneur, but it was not something that I ever thought I would be. I didn't go to school ever thinking I would work and have my own business. I always thought I would work for somebody. I always was driven to be in the world of advertising, in the world of creative. So that all changed 14 years ago. I was working as a creative director in the advertising world, and it was during that crazy recession time when everybody was finding it difficult to keep jobs or keep clients. And we, at the company that I was working at, we lost a huge client, and there was just a massive layoff. So I found myself without a job, but just assumed that I would go and I would find another one. But while I was doing that, I had a lot of time to be at home with my family. I had 2 kids at home, and I had an epiphany. I realized at that time that it was a gift to see how the life of my kids that I never saw before, getting time with them during the day, seeing what they were doing, taking them to school, like just minor things. But they were big things that I felt like, and I realized that I was missing. And I really wanted to be part of that. I loved my job. I loved what I did. But I realized that there was more to life than just the career. And I was missing it. So I didn't have a plan. I didn't know what I was going to do. I just knew that it had to be different. And I wasn't going back to a corporate job. I wanted to remain part of my family's life and be there for them. And I jumped in with 2 feet and said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do something on my own. And I said, I'm going to open a business. So I took the knowledge, skills, and talents that I had and offered them to people. I call it consulting and freelancing. And I started off by just using my network and getting business, getting projects, getting jobs that way. And then I grew my business from that. But Chuck, what I did find is, because I thought that I was all that because I came from the world of marketing, this is going to be a piece of cake, no problem. It was not. It was not. And I struggled and I struggled. Once it got past my, immediate network, it was actually hard to sell my business to people I didn't know. And I had a point where it was make a choice. Because I still needed to make money. I still had bills, just like everybody else. And I had to decide whether I was going to really make it a priority and make this business a reality, or if I was going to go back to a job. So I found a community, I found a coach, I found some people that could help me, and they turned it around. And without them, I would have been back at a job. So now I work with small business owners who are trying to attract more of their clients and turn them into profits by helping them clarify their message and get people to lean in and want to know more about them. And I do that by helping them create superpower brands.
I definitely want to dive deeper into that. And I want to get more into, how you can turn them into superpower brands, because that sounds amazing. But I want to first react to, part of your story that, I in particular can relate to, because there's so many similarities with mine. I was a former chief marketing officer, suddenly found myself working independently. And I went from having a team to a team of one, which was me. And so to rebuild all of that transition is not easy. And I wanted to mention that because I'm sure so many of the members of our audience who are now in businesses of their own or consulting or whatever, many of them, same thing. They were in a job. Now they're no longer in a job and find themselves marketing themselves independently, doing the solopreneur thing, which hopefully we're going to shatter that word a little bit. We're going to talk, because nobody really does this alone, but it's a common thing that people call themselves. Oh, I'm a solopreneur. I do this and that. But yeah, that transition, not an easy thing to do. Others might be actually listening in and wanting to make the jump or make the leap or the transition into more of an independent type business and maybe leave your job. And these are some of the things that you need to consider. So you're working in advertising. You're already an expert in media and branding and all of that. And then, in the corporate world, when we have teams and the support and everything, we're the boss. It's like, you have a team to support you, and then all of a sudden you don't have that team anymore. And so what did you do? Like, what was the big turning point for you in your business that really turned things around and made it work for you?
First off, admitting that things weren't perfect. When you come from a world of corporate, you don't tell your clients and you don't tell your partners that you're struggling. You want people to think everything is great. So, you have your internal teams that obviously know, and you can talk about it and discuss it and figure out how you're going to change it. But for the most part, you're like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. So I went out there and just assumed I got to pretend everything is fine. And inside it was dying, thinking, this is not fine. And I'm like not making money. And I'm like I'm really struggling. And it wasn't until I found a community of people that were like me that I could relate to. And they helped me see that, maybe we don't have to be so perfect, and maybe we can share some things, and maybe we can help each other out. And I hope it's okay if I jump right into this, but this is my first collaboration. And collaboration is what helped me sustain my business because this community supported each other and, shared each other and referred each other's business. And they also, shared learnings. So without them, I wouldn't have lasted. Wouldn't have lasted.
I love that, because one of my questions to all my guests is, how has collaborations and partnerships played a role in the growth of your business? And you just said it perfectly. None of us really does this alone, right? And,
No.
we can call ourselves solopreneurs or independent business owners, or, so many words that really do speak to being alone. And it's that being alone oftentimes that does contribute to the lack of growth or the struggle. And it's so much easier when you can collaborate with others. So I'd love to ask you, was there any particular collaboration or partnership or working together with somebody that was instrumental, let's say, in the turnaround or even the growth of your business?
Yes. So one of the first people that I collaborated with, and I didn't even understand what was happening at the time. It was just, I knew that I needed their services, and they helped coach and mentor me in my business. They were a business coach. Eventually, they helped me turn my business around, but they became the coaching business became one of my best referrals for my business, because I guess they started to understand what I did and how I could help people and help their clients. And that's the first collaboration that really started. And it went on for years and years. And I still get some business from that. But the next one that happened was actually a client of mine that I worked with, and that client actually started to refer my business and hired me for more and more things. And their clients and partners started to ask about how they got, branding and marketing done, and they started to refer my business. So first it was somebody that I hired, then it was somebody that hired me. So it happened on both sides.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that story, because I'm so big in, it was instrumental in my business as well. I mean, I was also struggling to get clients, and it was a collaboration, a partnership with someone who was then not only referred business to me instantly once we made the connection, but we've been working together now for 11 years. And they've been referring multiple clients to me every single year with that. And so it really does make it a whole lot easier when you make these connections and these collaborations that really help it to make it easier to connect with the people that you're serving. And so I love that, and it just speaks to not only, what turned my business around, but now that is my business, helping people find referral partners and people to collaborate with. So, and I love this, and even just, Kim, the potential for us to collaborate as well. I know, we're still, we just met recently. I was on your show. Now you're on my show. I mean, that's where collaborations begin. It begins with a conversation.
And I loved what you and I talked about, even on my show, about that relationship building. It's so key. And you and I both talked about, there's lots of people that offer their programs and things like that as affiliates, but you don't know them, and they just expect you to put out a few emails and things like that, and see if you can catch any fish that way. But it's not sustainable. This kind of thing, creating relationships and building on those, is really what helped me to get business out of my referral partners. If I hadn't done that, then maybe you get one or two, but you don't get repeat.
Well, and I think that's another key, is getting that repeat, right? Otherwise, we're constantly looking, we're constantly searching. And that's what takes people, that constant search takes so many people out. if you can get that repeat, now you don't have to think about that so much, and you don't have to work at it so hard, where the clients can now just start to come to you more organically and consistently. And that's been huge. So speaking of clients coming to you, I think, so you're in your story, you collaborated, you're receiving referrals. Who are you receiving referrals from? Who is it that perfect timing? We'll edit that out. So who is it that you are, that you're working with, and some of the types of clients that are being referred to you?
So the types of clients that I'm getting are people that are service, from the service industry. So a lot of coaches, consultants, creatives, freelancers, but also people that are in the wellness arena. People like chiropractors, naturopaths, massage therapists. So, but really people that are providing a service or sell something that is invisible. Without a real product to say, here, look at this is great. I help people to build a message around their business, the benefits that they provide to somebody, the value that they bring to somebody, and really turn it into something that gets people to want to learn more about them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So is there any particular struggle or problem that they're kind of experiencing right now before they come to you and they're like, Kim, here's what's going on. I really need help with this. Like, what are you hearing from them when they come to you that they're asking for?
One of the main things is I need to attract more clients. I'm just not getting clients consistently. And people are not seeming to understand or be interested in my service. So that can be right up there.
Right. So take us through what you work with them on. So they're coming to you, and this is great because we know for a fact that there's members of our target audience that just heard you say that and said, "Oh, yep, that's me. I definitely want to do that." And so, what is your advice? What is your tips? Or do you have a system or something that you take people through? Because if they're struggling to get clients, to get to the other side where now they're not struggling to get clients, there must be this part in the middle that happens to help them to fix that. So, take us through that, and, a little bit of the, what you work with them on and what your system is, et cetera. And, just so we can kind of give people that look at like, okay, that sounds good. That is something I want to do.
Definitely. I'd love to share this. So first, I'd like to explain, there's brand and there's branding. And a lot of people will come and say, I think that my branding is off, and it's because it's not attracting my clientele. And when they say that, they come to me thinking that they need, a new logo, a new tagline, their colors and fonts are off and they need a new website. And that is a part of building a brand, but a brand is something different than branding. So your branding is what communicates your brand, and your brand is who you are. It's what you stand for. It's how people perceive you. It's the values that you have, that you bring, that make you and your business unique. And when we when I start working with people, we really dig into the brand, and we want to build a reputation for you. We want you to become the expert, the authority that people see, they hear, and they remember. So when they need your services, they're coming to you because they go, you know what? I really think that I need to, be more collaborative, and I need to figure this out. I need to go talk to Chuck. So then once we have that, once we have the brand strategy, then we can dress it up with the branding. so that you can communicate properly to your audience, and then they start to recognize you. It brings meaning to your brand when we do the right branding. But if you don't know what your brand is, if you're doing it all wrong, or if you're skipping that step, it's a waste of time.
Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes, and we've had this conversation with many, where they don't always understand the difference between branding and their messaging, their marketing, their client acquisition, and even their offers. And so, what is, your definition of branding, and what part of their overall process is that, and how it contributes to the more clients they want to get?
So I differentiate brand and marketing, or more brand and sales. So your brand is what makes your business relevant and meaningful. And it is a way to continually, gently pull an audience into you. So it helps you to understand the types of messaging that you need to make clear, what you need to communicate, the types of problems that you solve, what is relevant to your audience that they want to hear, and be able to go out and know what you should be putting on social media, what types of speaking engagements that you should be looking for, what types of partners that are going to be the best to support your business. That's what really building a brand is all about. And then as you start to become known as this brand, people will start to go, oh, there's that business again, or there's that person again. And I just had a call today, and it was because I have done a speaking engagement, I think 2 years ago, and this person started to follow me and now is ready to do her branding. She's a naturopath, and she said, I'm ready, and I remembered you, and I came back. That's the power of brand. So sometimes branding isn't an ROI like that, whereas sales and marketing is a bit different. You're pushing out your message and an offer or something specific, or it could be a sale. It could be, a special that you're putting out there to get instant ROI, but you still need your branding to go out there and do that properly too. Then once you get a sale or two, your branding comes back into play and helps you to provide the experience that those people are going to expect.
Yeah, I love what you just said, because I think that really speaks to the power of having a good brand and a clear message. When you can have someone come back to you 2 years later, okay, so timing is everything. So maybe they weren't ready right there and then, but your message and your brand and you resonated with them to the point where they're like, for 2 years, they remembered you and now have come back and become a client. And, it's a story that I've heard before. I know it's happened in my business where that you make that impression on somebody, and then they're like, oh, I really need to work with Kim, but now's not the time, but I am going to follow everything she does, and when I'm ready, I'm there. Yeah. That's an amazing story. So
yeah. And a lot of it is, developing a brand and then being consistent and then showing up time and time again, even when you think, is this working? Because a lot of times your branding isn't an immediate ROI, as I said. So it also has to be, partnered with sales and marketing. So you can't just do one without the other, but you can't do marketing or sales without first doing an understanding of some brand strategy.
They're all very much interconnected. You need to have a good offer. You have to have good marketing, but you also have to have a good branding that is memorable and that, makes people want to follow you. And it does build trust in there as well. And I think, your story of the client who has been following you for 2 years is a great example. And I love what you just said about the instant ROI. And I hear it all the time from entrepreneurs, like, I really need to make sales this month. What do I do? And it's like, we're always looking for the short term. And I get it. Like, there is the short term, but one of the things that I think, and I'd love to get you to weigh in on this, Kim, is that if you were to invest into more strategies that are not the instant ROI, but they're getting the message out there, like speaking at events, like being on podcasts, where you might not get that immediate return, but you did get a return, like the client who returned to you 2 years later and says, okay, Kim, I'm ready to go. And if you had enough of those, you wouldn't be having the conversations about, I need an immediate ROI, or I can't pay my payroll this month, or I can't pay the rent this month, or whatever. I need something now. The way you got, and I was in that mode for a while where I needed something now. I needed a miracle in a very short period of time. And we've pulled it off more than once. But what's been great is not having to do that. And a big piece that causes us not to have to do that anymore, that consistency, is because of the branding and the messaging and the marketing and being memorable to people that are hearing. And so the clients are coming and they're ready when they're ready. So that's my take on what you just said. I'd love to hear you weigh in on that as well.
Oh, that is so true. And I wanted to say I was in that position at one time too, because it was literally, I got to figure this out, or I'm going to have to, I may be trying to get a job at the local cafe because I can't go without more money this month. And but when you actually spend some time developing who you are and realizing the problems that you solve, and this is all developed in your brand, and then figuring out how you can communicate it, and you can start to go out there and research and find ways and places that you can get in front of your audience. And when you start to get in front of your audience and communicate to them, you get better and better, and people start to hear you and they will remember you. And if you need money quickly, sometimes you can get those opportunities where you do have somebody saying, please come and make a presentation, and you can make an offer, and maybe you make some sales right then and there. So there are ways that your brand, is going to take some time, but there are ways that your brand is going to help you make some fast money too.
That's brilliant. And I just, I to anyone listening in right now who you're looking for that consistency, maybe you're looking for that miracle right now, or you've had to do it a few times and you want to get out of that mode and you want the consistency and, just want the flow. Everything we're talking about here today is a big key in doing that. And so, to that end, Kim, I know that you have a free gift that you wanted to mention that will be a great next step for somebody who wants to learn more and maybe even just explore how this can help them. So you want to tell us about that?
Yeah. So I have put together what I call the brand score assessment. And this is something that you can go in and take and find out where you're doing really well and where some of those gaps are that maybe you need to start to work on. And you get the results right away, and maybe some suggestions on where you should look at and where you should be spending time. What are some of your weaknesses? So I'd love for you to be able to take that, and we'll put the link in here, Chuck, for them to get access to the brand scorecard.
Yeah, absolutely. So that brand scorecard, if you'd like to get that, and I highly recommend that you do, you're going to find that link right beneath this video if you're watching it on video, or if you're listening to this on a podcast, just go into the player and click on the show notes. The link to Kim's brand scorecard and her website and all her information is all right there. and highly recommend that you do connect with Kim. And look, go get the scorecard. Go find out, how you score, and then also how this could potentially help you get out of this mode where you need the instant ROI and you need the instant gratification. And when you get out of that mode, man, it is just so much easier to run your business. So Kim, I think that's been amazing, and thank you for your generosity with that as well. So this has been a great episode, a great journey into. Thank you so much for sharing your story, because it's not always easy to be vulnerable and share our stories of struggle. We've both done that today, and we did it on your show as well, which is great. By the way, if you want to check out Kim's show, I've got a link to that there as well. Please do. It's amazing. I had a lot of fun being on your show as well. So, speaking of journeys, as we bring this episode to a close, part of the journey is, learning from great mentors, learning from great people, lots of great information. Books have been instrumental to me. And so while I have you here, Kim, I just want to ask you, what's your go-to or must-read book that you recommend that our audience checks out?
Oh, Chuck, there's so many, but I have to tell you that because we're talking brand, that this is one that I think people should take a look at, and it is How to Build a Story Brand by Donald Miller. And he is one of the people that I follow, and I just think he's brilliant in so many things that he offers. So check that out if you're wanting to learn a bit more about branding and you're looking for a good book to read.
It is an amazing book to read. I love the story. I had the good fortune of meeting Donald Miller at a conference a few years ago.
Nice.
And I hadn't read his book yet. I didn't actually know who he was, but I heard him speak. I'm like, man, that just makes so much sense. And then I got the audiobook almost instantly and have listened to it, I don't know, probably 10 times because there's just so much great information in there.
It's practical, it's pragmatic, and it's pretty easy to consume.
Extremely easy read. And I think entertaining as well, because what's interesting about Donald Miller is that he was actually a writer first.
Yeah.
Right. And he got into marketing and because of his own necessity to market what he was doing. And then he applied his skill of writing stories with marketing, and it just created this whole thing, and it's extremely powerful. So I love that recommendation. That's a great one. I can't wait to by the way, you'll find the links to that here as well here. But Kim, I want to ask you, because I know you've also written a book. So I want to ask you about your book.
Yes. So I was going to have it handy here, and I don't. Oh my goodness.
While you're looking, I'll just tell everybody. So you're the Amazon best-selling author of Branding on a Shoestring: How to Recreate Your Small Business Identity and Increase Sales Results in 83 Days or Less. 83 days or less. That sounds pretty amazing.
Yes. So it's so funny because here I have Donald Miller's book, and I don't have my own book. But everybody asked me about the 83 days, and that's specifically why I made it 83 days. But really, it's about, because it comes from my time with my first coach, and we always did 90-day plans. So I always took that first week to kind of assess what I wanted to do before I had put it into some sort of strategy and plan. And if you take 90 days less a week, it's 83 days.
I love that. What a great, and not only that, but 83, it's an unusual number. And I think that's a great example of marketing right there, because it's attention grabbing. Anyone can say 90 days. 90 days is 3 months. Most people say that, but 83, it just automatically creates that curiosity. Well, why 83?
Yeah. Everybody asks, and it helps people remember.
Great example of branding, great example of a marketing hook as well. So that's awesome. Well, we also have the link to Kim's book there beneath the video and in the podcast show notes. So everything we talked about in this episode is all there. Just go ahead and click on it and go get Kim's book and check it out and get her branding checklist or branding scorecard. Sorry, that is all right there. So Kim, thank you so much. This has been fun. I've really enjoyed having you on the show, and I really sincerely hope our audience goes and gets your scorecard and your book and learns more from you because I think there's a whole lot more than what we even talked about here today that can really help them on their journey to create that consistency in their business. So I want to thank you for your time and your generosity here. And as we bring this episode into a close, if you had just one final piece of advice or words of wisdom for our audience, what would you say to them?
I would say, when done well, when you develop a brand properly, it is going to be your best asset to get your clients or customers to choose your product or service over your competition. Well said.
How many of you would like to do that? If you do, go reach out to Kim and get the support, the help that you need. The consistency and the results that you want are possible. And you just need to reach out to someone and collaborate and stop doing everything yourself. I highly recommend finding someone to collaborate with. Kim is an amazing person to collaborate with. Go do that. And, in the meantime, keep moving forward. Never, ever, ever give up on your big dream and your vision for your business. And look, you might be just one collaboration away from that next big breakthrough in your business. So hopefully this has been an episode that has helped you with that. We'll have another amazing episodes. Check out our past episodes as well. And so to sign off, this has been the Creative Collaboration Show. Chuck Anderson here with Kim Speed. Thank you, everyone, and we'll send you on with your day.